Once the right implant is chosen, we will draw on the patient's skin 1. The end of the sternum and the xiphoid appendix, 2. The central point of the implant where the incision will be made, 3. Implant length. The distance between both ends equals the subpectoral pocket required to introduce the implant. It is important to draw both sides also as a guidance to keep longitudinal alignment. The width of the wings defines the width of the subpectoral pocket, and it also works as a template of the incision length 4 centimeters. Make the incision according to the mark done earlier, 4 centimeters. Dissection of the pectoral muscle is followed by creating sufficient subpectoral pocket to fit the implant underneath it. The right pocket is larger than the left one in order to introduce the implant. Once the implant fits in the pocket properly, a mark at the central point is made with the electroscalpel to establish the lifting point. Then the implant is removed. At this point, the sternal plate and sternal screws must be tightened to the sternum. The use of the positioner is advised since it will be helpful as a guide during the drilling and screw operations. First step, sternal plate and positioner will be nailed together to the sternum. Drill the first cortical with a 1.5 millimeter bit in the 5 holes. Introduce a screw in each of the holes and tighten them with the torque screwdriver. This screwdriver is set at a torque value that avoids the screws to slip in their position. Last, remove the positioner. Following the fixation of the sternal parts, the lifting system is assembled to it. The ball joint is fastened to the central part of the sternal plate. The implant is introduced again at its desired position. At this point, everything is ready to elevate the sternum. To lift it, the bolt and the nut must be assembled together. Then the sphere at the bottom of the bolt is introduced into the ball joint. Both components, when assembled, allow some angle. Therefore, they will facilitate lifting in sternums with significant rotation. The nut should be twisted until reaching the plate. Each full turn of the nut equals 2 millimeters of lifting. From the CT scan, measurement turns are already forecasted. The last step ends when the sternum has contact with the implant. To secure the elevated position, plate fixing screws are introduced in each hole of the implant and screwed to the sternal plate. Then we can remove the lifting system by unscrewing the nut and taking it out from the ball joint and unscrewing the ball joint from the sternal plate. To finish the surgery, both pectorals will be sutured together as well as the skin.